All right, everybody, welcome back. We got another video. This time the FIFA 23 ratings for Chelsea are out. And look, you know I'm not a big FIFA 23 gamer, but I'm a big Chelsea fan, so we thought we'd pair the two, and we bring in a big Chelsea fan who's also big in the FIFA world. We got Jake Barford from YouTube. How's it going, sir? Welcome to the channel. We're excited to partner up on this after meeting this summer on the US tour.
Yeah, met up in Vegas, Chelsea versus Club America. I'm here to provide the FIFA knowledge. Check out these Chelsea ratings, see whether, I guess, we agree, disagree with what EA gave. I'm excited, man.
Now, this is going to be great. Again, if you haven't checked out Jake, go do it. Huge on YouTube. You probably already know about him. All about the FIFA video game series. Huge Chelsea fan. So we want to promote him more to the Chelsea community so we can continue to grow who all's out there. Links will be in the description. But we want to kick it off, right? So the FIFA 23 ratings are out for all console systems. We actually today, surprisingly, got the rest of the squad. We just had the first 10 to 15 to start. And we're going to cherry pick some of these. Obviously, we'll go through the first, probably top, 8 or so that are rated in the squad. And then we'll kind of cherry pick some of the big ups and downs and see how it went. So unsurprisingly, right? Numero uno, number one on the team sheet, in your hearts, when healthy, N'Golo Kante. He's an 89 rated this season, Jake, and it's a 1-point drop. I think you probably relate that to injuries. Nobody in the Chelsea world is going to be surprised with that rating. What do you make of it from a FIFA standpoint?
Yeah, so 89 still makes him, I think, the best defensive midfielder in the game, one of the best defensive midfielders in the game. I think he should be in the 90s still, personally. For me, I know EA, the injury. Also, when players typically get older, it's just like, it's almost like they don't even think about it. They could have a really good season, but it's like, oh, you're 30 years old now, however old, boom, rating drops. 89 is still great though. Like one of the top players in the game. We'll take it, but I would have liked to see him in the 90s personally.
I think his top stat here is obviously defense and physicality, 87, 82. His shooting is not great, as we know. Passes solid, dribbles actually better than I might have expected, probably close to COVID levels. But again, I'm sure he's still just in FIFA. He's always healthy, so you can just run around and tear people up. And if you can get him, you're gonna want to have that kind of a player. And like 89, that's essentially one of the top ratings, right? Like what are the Messis and the Ronaldos and all the top players in the game? Is it like 92, 93?
Yeah, so Ronaldo got a 90 this year and Messi got a 91. Those are the top. And then, if you play Ultimate Team, they boost the ratings throughout the year for performances, player of the months, team of the years, all of that stuff. So Conte will, we see him on the pitch performing well. He will be boosted surely. But I like it. 89 is respectable. I understand why they would have downgraded him. And, he's still going to be like one of the better players to use in the game this year. So yeah,
at least upon launch, right, when all the cards are kind of regular at that 100%. Point. Hey, number 2 is Kalidou Koulibaly, which might surprise some people. I think it surprised me that he was our second highest player. There was not even a tie. Like he is de facto number 2 at 87. He got a +1 boost. Is there any reason that maybe from him going from Napoli in Serie A to Chelsea in the Premier League, just by going to a bigger league, a bigger team, you think he might have gotten a bump?
100%. Yeah, I mean, EA, they're all over the Premier League, so they want those ratings boosted a little bit more. He's also been rated super highly by EA in the past. Like, he's always had a pretty solid rating in FIFA. But, I mean, you said it. Like, he's in the Premier League now, so EA want us to have a little bit more fun playing with these Premier League players. So that's one of the main reasons why he got the boost. But, I mean, he's one of the best defenders in the world, too. So, I mean, he's deserving of an upgrade as well. So, it goes both ways, though.
So here's the deal. 88 defense, 85 physicality, 82 pace. This guy, like back 3, you are good. I think he's probably going to be upset with his passing at a 59. His dribbling's a 68. So we'll have to see. By the way, 33 for shooting. I saw this guy smashing some goals. We'll have to see what happens, but he might want to contend that one.
I know. It's so like he's a defender. I don't think they put too much thought into that shooting rating, to be honest. But we look at the pace, defending, and physical. Like for FIFA, those are, and especially for a defender, those are like 3 of the top stats you look at. He is going to be a monster. If you are a hardcore FIFA player, and especially like Ultimate Team wise, you're using Koulibaly. Like he is going to be amazing.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. All right, we have a tie for third between Thiago Silva and Edouard Mendy. They're both at 86. Actually, Raheem Sterling's also 86. So we have a three-way tie. Thiago Silva, we'll start with him. He is got a +1 rating after last season. Ishan wanted to shift the conversation here a little bit, said he should be at least an 88 or 89 because he's been one of the best center backs in the world for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Look, I get we all love Thiago Silva. I love Thiago Silva. I don't know, though, if he's been one of the best defenders in the world, especially Jake. You would know this because you're going to see all the stats and the numbers of all the European defenders and things like that. Has he been the best defender at Chelsea? Probably, right? Or one of the best in the Premier League? Probably. But when you open up into the world, because FIFA is a world game, there are some studs defending out there that I think as Chelsea fans, we get a little closed-minded and forget that other players outside of Chelsea can be good.
So what I'll say about this is it's really interesting because we can bring Thiago Silva. He's an older player. He's been around for a while. He's also a really legendary player. It's interesting how they choose some of these ratings because let's talk Messi and Ronaldo first because Ronaldo, Messi didn't have the greatest year last year, but they're still like one of the best of all time. So EA sort of factor in legacy, I think, to a lot of these ratings too. Whereas regardless of sort of how some of these guys played in the previous season, if they're just overall a better talent throughout their career, they want to keep their ratings as high as possible. What do you think? Do you think it should be higher, lower? What do you think for Thiago Silva?
Look, I just think that that's probably a good spot for him because again, the one stat that you don't see here, which I know goes into is like the mentality and like the intelligence, right? Yeah. As an 87 defender and 76 physicality, again, that 87 from defensive abilities comes from his brain, his reading of the game. A 49 pace is rough, but again, we know he's not fast. He doesn't need it. And he's still well-rounded, like a 73 pass, a 72 dribble, like a 54 shot. But again, like no one's putting him in to shoot really. So I still think, to your point, it's a respectable card. I'm just saying, I don't know if he should be like 89, 90 or something like that. Yeah, to your point, the time, right, is catching up to him. He just naturally isn't going to be as good as he was 5, 6, 7 years ago. So I feel like this is, he's very much an above average defender and they gave him that.
Yep. I think it's fair. Looking a little bit deeper into some of his stats, like he's got really good passing as well. I know it says 73, but you can see the more intricate stats as well. He's got 81 short passing, 82 long passing, which is really good. For FIFA, he's good. Everything's great except for pace. And it's unfortunately one of the most important aspects of the game. He's going to be slow, which means people might not use him as much. But again, I think pretty fair rating for him.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Edouard Mendy actually coming in. He got +3 this season. As a goalkeeper union card-carrying member, you love to see it. But I want to know what he was coming out of the Champions League season when he set the record for most clean sheets. Yeah. Because if he got a +3 after last season, which I think a lot of us as Chelsea fans say, respectfully, not his best season, then holy smokes, he must have been a 75 coming up to like an 81 and then up to an 86 now. Or I guess a 75 to an 83 and now 83 to 86, which is what I'm saying. I also think, though, from a FIFA standpoint, because remember, an ultimate team, they're not really taking into account a player's form. They just want to say, hey, at his best, what is he rated? And then we put him in the game. Right? Isn't that how it works?
I would say that's a fair way to describe it. So he's sort of had to work, obviously, over the years, work his way up to this rating. A lot of times it's like, okay, you may have one good season, but for us to really give you a big boost, we need to see you prove it. Maybe it's not having like 2 insane years in a row, but you have a really, really good year. You kind of keep a similar caliber, maybe not as good as the year before, like you said, in the Champions League year, but he's proved himself to be like in like the top tier of Premier League goalkeepers. So they'll naturally just sort of boost his rating, putting him in this like bracket of 86 makes him one of the best goalkeepers in the world, according to FIFA. So,
yeah. And again, on his day, is he? Yeah, he can be. So therefore, in a video game, he is. Let's see. Highest category is No, never mind. These aren't even goalkeeper stats. I'm not going to get it. They said he has an 88 dribble, which, let's be honest, it ain't it. All right. The last 86 we have is Raheem Sterling, Chelsea's new big marquee signing for good old Raz. That's actually a -2. He was an 88 down to an 86. Hashtag blame Man City. Am I right?
Yeah. Man, I didn't like to see that. Like, I mean, I understand, again, it's sort of like getting older, but just because he moves over to Chelsea, I don't know. I still like the 90 pace. I think he'll be a player that a lot of people use in FIFA, but -2, I feel like for me seems a little disrespectful. Do you think he earned the downgrade or no?
I mean, I know that Pep didn't play him in some big games. You know, he was a bit of a bench player last season. So to me, it seems like because he didn't have the minutes or maybe the underlying stats that he has in the previous seasons, because when we were linked to them, right, we went back like season by season, and it was not his marquee season last year, but the previous 2-3 seasons before that was like banging in the goals, like bagging in the assists, no problem. So I could kind of see it in that case. If he had like 2-3 good seasons, right, that built him up to an 88, and then he gets his 88, Pep doesn't really play him, well, then they're going to knock him down. But that's why he came to Chelsea, was to reprove himself. He's been at Liverpool. He's been at City. Now he's at Chelsea. Like, the pedigree's there, 90 pace. He'll be good. He's got 86 dribble and an 80 shot. Like, he's going to get some reps in the game. And I guess obviously for us as Chelsea right now, we're looking at him as our number one attacker, our only goal threat. So we're relying on him.
I think he's definitely, like, in real life still has the quality of 88 rated. The downgrade, again, I'm a little disappointed, but you know, you can understand it. I think his rating can be boosted a lot throughout the year. I think he could end. Obviously, this isn't his main, like, his main 86 rating will stay the same, but I think throughout the year he will get versions of himself that are 90 plus, and that's just my prediction, I think.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And we know he's got the level. Yeah. Next up is Jorginho with an 85. This is a no change for him. He has the second highest passing in the team with an 86. For me, he is still riding the glory of the Champions League win and the Euros win. Last season, he was injured most of the season, didn't provide a lot for us as Chelsea fans. You know, but from a game standpoint, I don't really know what he's like. I mean, he's not fast. He's an amazing passer, though. Where is he at on a couple of these things? 81 dribble and an 86 pass. Other than that, he doesn't really offer a lot. So yeah, he's a center mid, 85. What do you think about that?
I mean, for FIFA, I personally, like, don't rate him as like a solid player that I would use in FIFA.
I'm sure he doesn't have a resale value either, right? Like, you pack him and you're like, discard. Do you list him? I mean, you're not going to get a lot for him.
Yeah, you don't really. You're not getting excited if you get Jorginho in your pack, sadly. 85. I mean, it's a good rating. Like, it's just not like his build just isn't really like good for FIFA. It's really weird because some players can be like really good in real life, and then in FIFA, they're like, they don't translate because the game will emphasize certain stats, like a pace is usually one of the more important stats. Physical, like, usually a pretty important stat. You could have really high ratings in certain categories in real life and be really good there, but they just don't translate to FIFA, sadly. He's one of those players, I feel like, for me.
You're telling me that Rory Delap's long throw-ins for Stoke City years ago doesn't translate to FIFA?
Okay, well, we're talking that. Okay, I could see that translating in. But for Jorginho, I'm sorry, I'm not rating Jorginho for FIFA.
I get it. All right, next up is new signing, new striker, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, 85. This is no change. A weird season. Started at Arsenal, ended at Barcelona, you know, for him. He's now at Chelsea. He has the high shooting in the team with an 84. Aubameyang has always been a bit of a sweat player in FIFA. I know that because when he also has an 87 pace. I know he's been in the 90s in years past. With that and his 84 shots, you know, a decent pass, a decent dribble on him. For us, we need him to come big. He is the signing, whether or not he was for Tuchel or the club felt like he could just make an impact in general because there weren't a lot of options when we did pick him up. He's got to come big for us and deliver. He's had some chances, hasn't converted the ones we want. And so Chelsea fans are going to be relying big time on Abba here.
Yeah, I was so excited when they signed him. personally, like this is coming from like a FIFA background here. He is a legendary FIFA player. Like I grew up loving the game of football because of FIFA, and like he's one of those guys who, when I'm growing up playing this game, it's like you use Aubameyang, like he's the sweaty, fast player, and now that he's on Chelsea, it's really cool to see. None of that I just said there translates to how he may do on the pitch, but I'm excited to like have like I'll be using this guy in FIFA a ton this year, regardless of how he plays. So I'm excited. Let's hope he plays really well too, in real life and in my FIFA team. That would be great. I'm excited though that he's on Chelsea.
Yeah, some specialty cards, always big with him. All right, we have a plethora of 84s. We got Reece James, Mason Mount, Mateo Kovacic, Kai Havertz. So let's start with Reece the Beast James. He's an 84, which gave him a +3 from last season, which means he's only 81 after the Champions League run with Frank and then Tuchel. Reece James, for us as Chelsea fans, like arguably the best right back in the world, can defend, has pace, can create, and can score goals. Don't know what else you want from the guy. Again, FIFA keeping him at 84. I don't even know what Trent Alexander-Arnold is, which is like the favorite comparison, or whoever is bombing up and down the flanks for like a Bayern and PSG and Madrid. But I can tell you this much: it ain't Reece James, and anyone across Europe would want him in their team. He's got kind of like he's good at a lot of things, but not great at anything. So he's got 81 pace. He's got 82 physicality, 80 defensive ability, 82 dribble, 82 pass, and a 70 shot. Again, solid across the board, but there's no kind of like that peak ability where it just like, blows him off the chart.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you said that perfect. Anytime though you can have like, he almost has every single stat in the 80s. That's very rare for someone in FIFA. The only one is shooting. Makes sense. Right back. I like it. I'm a career mode guy too, so he's definitely going to be someone that in career mode you're gonna want to use, because he's still got that bit of potential in him. Where, I mean, he has another good year, and we're looking at him being rated one of the highest fullbacks in the game. So I think the highest fullback is Joao Cancelo at 88. And
I get that.
Robertson 87. Just pulling this up right now. Acuna 85. Jordi Alba 85. So he's right there amongst the top. He's top 5 at least. I love it. Again, career mode's my thing, so he's someone too who's like, you play with him a lot in career mode, he'll be like 90 overall.
Yeah, which would be wild for him. Next up, we've got in the 84 category, Mason Mount. So he is +1. He got the upgrade. Look, last season was a big season for him. He got double-digit goals and assists in the Premier League. He was the first Chelsea player since Hazard to do that. He has the second highest shooting in the team with 81, third highest passing in the team with 85. Again, does FIFA struggle with Mason just like a lot of Chelsea fans, where you don't really know what his best position is? He's listed as a cam. Looks like he can also play right wing. His best stat is actually his passing with 85, 82 dribble, 81 shot, 74 pace. Like, how does FIFA look at the Mason Mount?
Yeah, if you're not playing him on the wing, sadly, with 74 pace, just too slow there. As a cam, I like it. I think at the start as well, he'll be really solid if you are someone who likes to play with like Premier League players only. I think he's a really good option for FIFA. I mean, like all the shooting, passing, dribbling, all of that's great. That's the way you want a midfielder. I rate him in FIFA this year a lot, and I think he's got a ton of room to grow as well. Still, I don't think this is going to be his highest like FIFA rating he'll ever get for years to come. I think we're going to be getting hopefully 85, 86 next year, 87, whatever it may be. Fingers crossed there, but don't want to jinx anything. I like Mount a lot.
Yeah, it looks like Potter's going to maybe play him a little bit deeper than he has last few seasons. So that might unlock some of those abilities that he has. Next up, again, staying in the 84s, is Mateo Kovacic, who got a +1 increase. He has 88 rated passing, 83.
Great.
Or I'm sorry, 88 dribble.
Yeah,
Duh, he's a dribble maestro. 83 passing. Yeah. After that, kind of falls off a little bit. 71 defense and physicality though means he's very much a box to box and can break up play. 70 pace and 69 shot. So you clearly know, again, when we talked about having those spikes, what he's good at. But I was surprised that he's that high defensively.
Yeah, it's nice to have, whether he deserves it or not. The dribbling though, 88 dribbling. Like, I remember playing with this guy when his rating was in the 70s, back when he was on Madrid. And even then he was really good. I love this guy just as a normal midfielder. I would never play him and this is FIFA as well. Like, I would never play him at central attacking midfielder. I never play him as central defensive midfielder. As just a like CM and like a 4-3-3 in FIFA, amazing. Like 88 dribbling, 83 passing is so good. He's like built for FIFA, honestly.
And his work rate is high, right?
Yeah.
Which is on the field. Like, you watch him, Mateo runs down everything. Yeah. He's always seems to have a burst of energy, 4-star weak foot, 4-star skiller. It'll be interesting to see now when you get to 88, like that there's separation from the pack. And so it'll be interesting if people can find a way to kind of unlock that skill set with him. Yeah. As Chelsea fans, we love him. We just want him to stay healthy. I mean, that is that too much to ask for, Mateo? Like, we love you.
It's looking some of his other stats too, like specifically like 89 ball control, 89 like actual dribbling as a stat, 86 agility, and his pace is 70, which is a bit low, but he has 77 acceleration too, so a little misleading there with the pace. He's still going to be pretty quick on the ball, because typically the way it works is like you can have your pace can be in the 70s, but if you have high dribbling, it makes it feel like you're just so much more fast because they're just quick on the ball, every direction, every move they take. So I love this man in FIFA.
All right, let's see it. All right, next one up on the 84 club is Kai Havertz. He stayed the same. He was flat. All right, so 84 for him. His big stat is 81 pace, which again, I think kind of surprises people. 84 dribble, 79 shot, 79 pass, extremely bad at defense. And, he's average for physicality, which I think we all get there. If shithousery was a stat, he'd probably be up there quite a bit as he loves a bit of a tussle. He's a cam, center forward, or striker. Graham Potter, he needs to find a position for this guy. He's floated. He's played false nine. He's played striker. He's played right wing, left wing. Graham needs to figure out what to do with him. But when it comes to FIFA, I'm sure everybody will find ways to use him with Bayer Leverkusen. He's probably cooled a little bit since Chelsea, but 84 is still, at least maybe if you're early days, have a lot of money to go, buy packs and things like that. You get him. He's probably going to do a job for you.
I like to look at this guy more as a career mode player for me, because again, that's my main mode. And I would always use this guy over the year because he would be the one that had like 92 potential. So you get him in your team and like he just ends up becoming a beast. I'm interested to see, as he's gotten a bit older, if EA end up shrinking that potential. That's something that we don't know yet. Like which players are going to have the most room to grow in FIFA. Ultimate team wise, he's just really decent all around. So I don't think you can really go wrong with Kai Havertz, and I hope this man finds a spot because I actually really like him, and I think he deserves to fit in somewhere. It's just where is that going to be?
All right, next one we finally are out of the 84s. We're dropping down to 82, and that is right. It is Christian Pulisic with no change. He's staying flat. I think everyone can kind of expect that, assume that. 82 is a respectable number, but it's not the number we really feel like he should be at, especially as American fans first and Chelsea fans second. His big stats here, 87 pace, which we know, 86 dribble, which we know, 71 shot and a 73 pass, kind of give him high potential, high ability. It's been tough with injuries. He's just been out of form. This is his last shot, I think, kind of with Chelsea under Graham Potter. Is can Graham figure out how to use him? We're all hopeful, but something's got to click. Otherwise, naturally, he's going to go somewhere else so he can stay on the top of his game. But surely Christian's popular in America in Ultimate Team.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I mean, like anytime I start playing FIFA, like when I first get the game, just because he's like one of my favorite players, like he's going to be one of the first players I actually buy in the game. 82, same rating. They were never going to downgrade him because he's American. Like we need that staple American in FIFA that gets people coming back. Like I'm sure a lot of Americans will get the game and want to have this guy in their team right away. I hope he finds a spot, man. I really do. I would hate to see him leave this team because he's one of the main reasons that I like started supporting Chelsea. I actually didn't have like a Premier League team for a while when I started like my content creation career. I kind of wanted to be neutral, but I started to really like learn to love this club. And he's one of the main reasons. So I'm going to use him in FIFA. I really hope we can find a spot for him and he stays around. But man, 82. I'll take it. I think it could have been worse.
I hear you, right? It's very much a sensitive topic, you could say, yeah. with Christian, the Chelsea fans. He is sadly a bit of a polarizing figure amongst the Chelsea fans. But I would say what I take kind of inspiration from is that people are frustrated because they know how good he can be, and they just want him to be that good. That's all at the end of the day.
For sure.
All right. Next up on the ballots on the slates is Ben Chilwell. Quick mention here. He went down from an 83 to an 82. Obviously, they're going to take that injury into consideration. The only thing I thought that was interesting with that is when you compare it to the next rated player is Marc Cucurella at 81. He went from 82 to 81. And I'm sure these stats are kind of picked before he actually moved to Chelsea since it was so late in the window. He was Brighton's player of the year. 81 for him, 82 for Chilwell. We'll kind of have to see how that happens at the end of the season because now Chilwell has to regain his spot. Was Cucurella is coming in being like, I'm ready to go. I'm coming off a player of the year season. Like, we'll have to fight for those minutes and see how it pans out. But bombing wingbacks, is that pretty popular? Because isn't back three a popular formation in FIFA?
It's really interesting because like the formation thing, it really changes every year. As to like which formations are the best. At least for these stats right here at the beginning of FIFA, unfortunately, like if you're a fullback and you just don't have 80 pace, it's really hard to fit you in a team.
Isn't Cucurella faster than 76? I could understand Chilwell being a 76. Yeah. His passing should be in the 80, I think, with his crossing. But Cucurella, he's also 76. Like, is it the hair slowing him down? Like, what's going on?
It's weird. He was like really good in FIFA 22 as well. So I don't know. Like, there's a lot of ratings that like here's not really Chelsea. I feel like a lot of these make sense, but a lot of ratings you kind of just see and you're like, who's coming up with this? Like at least 80, I think for me. You have to, right? I don't know. 76 it's like 76 and 80 is just so different as well. 80 really makes you elite in FIFA if you can have 80 pace as a fullback. I don't know. I think it should be higher. I'm with you, man.
Huge shout out to Cucurella. So his strong one is actually dribbling. That's his strongest category. Chili Bees is tied. He's actually 78 pass, 78 dribble, 78 defending. And he's also 76 pace and a 75 physicality and his shot 60. So again, he's like right on the edge from being those 80s, kind of like Reece James was. But I think if you're comparing those two players, that makes sense to us. And then shout out to Cucurella for being a left back, a center back, a left mid, and a left wing back in FIFA. The crazy. Dude does it all.
That's crazy. Yeah, in FIFA this year too, you used to not be able to do it. But this year you can like actually change his position. So like, whereas in the past you just had one position, now he has 5 or 4. That's amazing. So play this man anywhere.
Yeah, no worries at all. Next one, I think some of these at the end here, we just want to kind of like touch on to talk about. I had Zakaria in here. He's an 81. He's actually a +1 after a season with Juventus. I just think because I think a lot of Chelsea fans don't know much about Zakaria, that it's just like good to kind of get, love it or hate it, FIFA is a good benchmark for a lot of things. Yeah. He's an 85 physicality, 80 defense, 77 dribble, right? Or 77 pass, 73 dribble, flip him, and then 82 pace. We're back to 82. So you're telling me he's 6'3", so he's big. He's 82 speed and he's 80s in strength and defense. Like we might be onto a player here.
This guy is going to be legit in FIFA. Like he has a lot of quality stats coming together here. The only one that's bad is shooting, and he's a CDM. Your CDM really doesn't need to have good shooting. This is going to be someone who's 81, but that's going to be a very misleading rating. He could cost you as much in FIFA to buy as like some of the top 5 rated players in this team. Honestly, he's going to be really good at the start of FIFA.
All right. Well, hey, again, Juventus didn't pick him up for nothing. We know how good he was at Mönchengladbach. We just want to see him find that form again. The other one is Wesley Fofana. We've all talked about he's a generational talent, massive for France. He is young, but he's a 79. So I just thought I'd throw that out there. A bit interesting. 81 defense, 76 physicality, 75 pace. It sounds like he's definitely one they're saving for the future. They know he was really good at Leicester City, had the injury. I think if he has an amazing season with Chelsea, he'll probably be the 83 plus next season.
Oh yeah, he's young. He's 21. He's gonna have a lot of potential in career mode. He's been a good signing for a while in career mode. I've used this guy like he's been one of the go-to like center backs that you try to buy if you're like building a team. And well, he's landed on Chelsea now in real life. So I really like it. I think 79, it makes sense. He's young. He's still got a little bit left to prove. So again, you said it, man. He has a good season and he's into the 80s for sure.
And he was +1, so 78 last season. Conor Gallagher, huge shout out after a big season at Crystal Palace, won their full player of the year. He got a +5 bump. He is now at a 79, which I think it's fair that he's not 80 yet, right? I think for us, we know he's established in the Premier League, but now what is that ceiling that we need to see? And playing at Palace is different than playing at Chelsea with a little bit of respect due. Let's be honest. All right, Palace fans. He's like strong 70s across the board. The only thing he's lacking on a little bit is he's a 67 in his defense, which, okay, fine. But like he's strong in the tackle. He's strong with the shot, pass, dribble, and even his pace. So he's a classic box to box midfielder. And I think these stats reflect that.
Yeah, I think it's earned as well. Like 70 +5 is a lot. I think EA as well really like to build up some hype around a lot of these young players. So like Conor Gallagher moves from Crystal Palace, or he's on Chelsea now. Like they want people to start seeing this man, using this man a little bit more. Whereas if he's like a 77, 76, it's just like he's another name on the list that you kind of just discard. But 79 really makes him like someone that could be used a decent amount in FIFA. You're just starting out, so I think it's respectable. I like it.
Yeah. Again, 80 is a threshold for a lot of players. Okay. And the other one is got a huge bump. And the last one we'll talk about is Armando Broja. He is a 75, but again, also received a +5 from FIFA. He just turned 21. He's one of the most promising young strikers in Europe. He was out Southampton, did well for them in spurts, nothing consistent. He's still young. But again, like having Armando Broja get that big of a bump, I think is just notable to talk about that. He's on the up and up, and as Chelsea fans, especially since we lost Tammy, we're heartbroken about that. He's doing so well in Roma. Is Broja the next kind of one to get all the fans excited about and have one of our own leading the line at Chelsea?
I really hope so. When I get my hands on FIFA 23 and start like a Chelsea career mode, he's one of those guys that I'm going to start putting into the team as much as possible, so I can see just how high rated I could get him, because I think he's got a really big future. And that's one of my favorite parts about FIFA is like when I'm recording my videos playing with Chelsea, it's like I always like to use the younger players to see what they could potentially become, or see like sometimes they don't become what I think they should or could become. So it's really fun to play out some of these scenarios on FIFA. He's someone I'm I'm looking forward to using him a lot.
I'm excited. Yeah. I am excited. All right. Well, we've run long, but this is a fun video. Jake, my man, it's so good to finally sit down and record something with you. Getting to meet you in Vegas was great. Yeah. There's going to be a lot of FIFA 23 stuff come out. If you are excited about this game, you got to go subscribe. B Ford Lancer on YouTube. Chelsea fan as well, so you're not gonna have to sit there and listen to a Tottenham or an Arsenal fan bang on about their players. I was watching him; he was doing long shots with the new power mode, and he made sure to take some jabs at little Harry Kane, which I appreciate. I respect it, Jake.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm gonna be doing a Chelsea career mode as well, so check me out. B Ford Lancer should be fun. I'm really excited to actually play with these guys in the game with these ratings and have some fun, because overall I think there's some good ratings here, and Chelsea's just going to be like, these players are just going to be really fun. There's a lot of fun faces, fun stats here, so I'm really excited. Thanks for having me, man.
I agree. We'll see how it all plays out. I mean, Chelsea kind of coming off a down season, so whatever happens this season, hopefully we can get some of those stats boosted back up again from Mason and Reese. Maybe Thiago Silva's got one more rate increase in him yet before he retires. So, anyways, that's gonna wrap us up. Hope you enjoyed it. Let us know who you think Chelsea's best player in FIFA 23 is in the comments. We'll be checking those, and we got more content. Check out our Discord through Patreon. Check out the podcast every single week, almost every single day. We've got episodes. It's the best Chelsea community out there. So anyways, we're out. We'll talk to you later.